descended into the Bottom Dwellers Dive Shack, a commercial diving podcast by working divers for divers. This is LB Diver with the Bottom Dwellers Dive Shack. We're here in Houston, Texas at the Ocean Corp, and they have invited us to give you guys a special tour and an in-depth look at what goes on behind these doors. Here we go, the Ocean Corp. All right, we're here in the lobby of the Ocean Corp. They've got amazing artwork, all diving related, obviously. We are in a dive school. They got cool little display here, kind of museum pieces, hats. Wanted to show you guys this one special hat here. So this right here is the original Gorski prototype. This is the Gorski 1. Not much has changed from the original design. No, I'm just kidding. It's a really cool prototype hat. John, the owner and president, has Gorski number 1 in his office. Let's see if we can try to peek in there real quick.
Oh, yeah.
See if we can peek in there real quick. All right. Well, how's it going, guys?
Good. How are you? We're
doing great.
And if y'all ready, we'll go.
Oh, nice. We came in here to take a look at the Gorski number 1. Bam. There she is.
That is the silicone bronze number 1.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. How heavy is this?
You met Lesher, so you know what it's like. So to him, it's not heavy at all.
Wow, look at that. You gotta be very careful putting her down.
He's probably didn't weigh 30.
Nice. Awesome. We actually just bumped into a couple awesome characters here. We have Trevor with Pressure Junkies over here. And Ray Spillers is right here before me. His hat is actually right there in the corner. Would you guys like to see Ray Spillers' dive hat? I think they want to see your hat.
I don't know. I changed it all around. It was a Desco Agar, which is a shallow water Agar helmet, and I put the valve in it. And right here, I took that off and mounted it in the back, because when it's exhausted in the front, the air gets in there and keeps pushing you away from your work.
Oh.
So I mounted it in the back.
Nice.
With a half-pound spring, and then when it builds up a half-pound pressure, it automatically vents, and I can close it down or open it up. And then there's a button inside you can hit with the back of your head.
Oh, nice.
And let the air
a dump,
out.
Huh?
Yeah.
Dump button.
But I dove that hat for well over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
They didn't have anything else.
No, that was before the old fancy Kirby Morgans or the Millers, right?
Yeah. And over there's one of the first Kirby Morgans.
Oh, no way. Which one is that?
Pat Curran. It's a Pat Curran mask. It belongs to Pat Curran and Bob Kirby got together and built these masks for the abalone divers. And this is one of the original ones, the first Kirby.
Oh, wow.
And it's got his name on it here somewhere. Pat Curran, P. Curran was the guy's name. And him and Bob Kirby got together and built these for the abalone divers. And that's how they got in the diving business, I think.
That is so cool.
But that's one of the original ones.
Thanks a lot, Ray, for showing us your old hat and one of the very first Kirby Morgan masks.
Yeah, that's one of them. They only made a few of them. And then they learned more. They learned from the first ones and built the next ones. And that's a Scott Hydropack. Scott mask. And of course that one is your Desco.
There's definitely a lot of history here.
And that was one I built. Right here. That's the mold.
Oh, cool.
I made that before they made the Desco helmet. It looks just like it, don't
It
it?
sure does.
But that was way before then. What I did is I took a cigar box and I made this mold out of a helmet, of an airplane helmet.
Oh, cool.
And then I rolled it up and sawed it in half and poured the mold. We made 6 of them. There's one of them at the finished.
Oh, nice.
And here's one of them partially, and there's the mold that we used. That was a long time ago. That was 70 years ago.
Oh, wow.
60 years ago.
That's a little bit older.
See, I'm 84. I guess I was 20 then.
Wow, you were making your own hats at 20. That's amazing.
The diving business has been an interesting business.
Sure has. Well, thanks a lot, Ray. That was pretty cool.
A lot of people don't know that. They see that stuff. It's just an old mask, but it's more to it than
Yeah.
that.
No, that's what I thought. That's amazing. Well, we are going to go walk around back and take a look at the rest of this school. I found Clanton. He's going to give us a little bit of a tour of the facility. Hey, Clanton, how you doing?
Pretty good, man. Yeah, I do admissions here at the school. I also handle some of our marketing. I hopefully helped y'all put this together well enough. So, yeah, right now we're in our equipment warehouse. So we got our dive lockers over here, where we keep all of our most of our dive equipment storage, right? Dive hats, Descos, Kirby Morgans, radios, comm boxes, manifolds over there, and our equipment shack over there. Our Ford here, right? Wrap's got to have advertising, always.
You got to have the vehicle wrap.
Absolutely. So they take that down to Galveston with some gear down here. They do, walk search grids in the mud, do some jetting, using lift bags, move stuff around as well. And then outside we got our main dive complex.
Wow, look at this.
Our deepest tank here is 30 feet deep.
30 feet deep for a training tank. That is pretty damn good, if I do say so.
Yeah, so I mean, it's about the deepest you can get in Texas without going way offshore. So we do some different assembly projects in there. Have essentially a section of an oil platform in there. We got quite a number of years back. But right here is our decompression chamber. So our students learn, how to operate this chamber. They also get some experience going inside of it to understand, what's going to be happening to them, and know how they're, how to clear their ears, go through all that process. And like I said, they'll go through and practice operating it. So they'll go through an actual chamber operations course, and then pretty much every dive after that, they're going to run through a mock decompression run to get a ton of experience operating this whole system. So it's a pretty good time for them. We got some of our, rigging training set up. So anytime they're sitting around not doing anything, they're practicing tying knots because as you know, it's really one of the most important skill sets you're going to leave school with.
Yeah, you better learn how to tie a bowline front to back.
Upside down, blindfolded.
Upside down.
Yeah, behind your back. Absolutely. One-handed. You need to know how to do it. Absolutely. These gray buildings are also classrooms. In here, we call it Super Project. Like I said, it's essentially one section of an oil platform they're really going through. Assembling to disassembling that whole thing. They'll do some inspection projects on it as well, flood and member type stuff. But yeah, you can see they're in the process of last stages of putting it together. When we get up on deck, you can see the last of the components that go into there. Our flatbed trailer over here is loaded out to go down to Galveston right now. You can see some of that gear. They'll be down there next week. We'll walk around here. Excuse all the tarps. We're shooting some video. Yeah. Let's see. Walk around this way.
Yeah.
We were
All right,
burning.
what do we got here?
Yeah.
Is this
So normally we have a nice clear blue tank where we have a riser assembly in there, but we were trying to get some high speed footage of underwater burning. So it leaves a little bit of sediment in the water. So hopefully our filters will catch up at some point there. But if you could see in there, you'd see some valves and some flange ups and a riser assembly. That's the first construction project they do in the water.
That camera that you guys were using, that's like a special camera or something, right?
Yeah, so our cameraman, he had a Phantom. It was like a super slow-mo camera, shoots at about 150,000 frames a second. So be on the lookout. We got some very slow-mo shots of welding, underwater burning. Should be very cool coming up here pretty soon.
In fact, it's coming up now. Take a look at this footage. What's this here?
So this is the bottom of our diving bell. It's type 1 bell. It's decommissioned though. We don't pressurize it anymore, but we'll run through some mock dive scenarios out of it. The students will learn, how CO2 scrubbers work, how to hook up to the comms in there, and kind of go through the basics of its operation, as well as on the control board.
The gas manifold.
Yeah, how the gas manifolds hook up, how they switch over to, emergency air, our control board here. Anyone who's a diver will be able to recognize it pretty well. Anyone who's not, this is how you would control a diving bell. We kind of got it exploded out and labeled.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks like one of those little kid toddler things, right? The little for the.
Practicing putting the square peg in the square hole instead of the round hole.
Yeah,
that's pretty important. Our divers still need to learn that, so we have one of those that's sitting up in the classroom, actually.
Great.
So some of our topside welding stations, right? So we do go through, and our students will learn topside stick welding before we throw them in the water, expecting to do it there. We'll go over kind of how it's different, topside between in the water, different techniques, reverse polarity as well from there, but. They'll learn how to do that out here. Mostly we try and get them to work on fun projects because this is the end of the program and everyone's itching to get out and go to work. So keep it interesting. We're like, well, build something you want to build before we go in the water there. But they can earn some topside AWS welding certifications. They can get some underwater welding certifications as well. We send them out to our CWI, get all that appraised.
Awesome, man. Part of the fun stuff is there. I see a giant sword here. Am I allowed to show that?
Yeah, please do. So John Ford, our weld instructor, he styles himself a bit of an artist, so you can see his latest project is working on over here. We can walk over here and see
the Final Fantasy VII
yeah,
sword.
He's a big anime fan as well.
So all geeks are welcome at the Ocean Corps.
All walks
Corporation.
Of life are welcome here.
All walks of life. All geeks and nerds included.
I am a nerd myself. I won't lie. I can appreciate it. So out here, his first piece that he actually built is set up over here. I'm sure we'll get some commentary about how we should have, had a bigger base, but it's all right. So his first Steel Man project here.
Steel Man.
It.
Take a look at this.
So yeah.
Wow.
He put some time.
Is that a Triforce?
Yeah, I think he did do that. And
that's so cool.
And it's pretty impressive. The man did not draw out any schematics. He did it all from his head, measured it out, cut some pieces, and built it on the fly.
Oh wow,
he did a good job with it for sure.
That's awesome.
And
Steel Man, this bud's for you.
The little globe right there in his left hand is actually a firebox, so we can build a fire in there.
Oh, that is cool.
We need to get it would make some cool pictures. We haven't done it yet.
Yeah. That is neat. That's pretty neat.
Our scrap yard.
What a great welding project. Yeah. Oh, look, a little axe laying on the ground. Holy crap. What is this, LARP City?
Yeah, Didn't stick it.
Hey, what's up, Johnny and Trevor from Pressure Junkies?
What's happening?
Yeah, it's going good. Hey, so you do a lot of stuff here at the Ocean Corps too, right? You come here every so often, talk to some of the students, right?
Yeah, if they have a new class coming in and the guys need some wetsuits, since I am local, I'm about 50 minutes from here, I'll come in, bring some wetsuits for the guys to try on, and we give the Ocean Corps guys a discount, so if they need anything, we try to help them out, and whenever they have a event, if I'm not working, I come in and come down, say hi, and shake hands, and give out some stuff, let the guys try it out.
That's awesome.
No, they've been really good. They've been helping me out a lot. It's been really great.
And that's what this business is all about, divers helping divers. So it's really great to see, just a local business here giving back.
Yeah, no, it's been great, man.
Awesome.
It's been really
it's
good.
been great knowing you too since day one of the bottom dwellers.
Yeah.
And you've been a big support to the show.
Yeah, it's all been, hey, we all work together, right?
Yeah.
That's the best part about it. If we can work together, we can all make it.
Awesome, Trevor. Well, I'm glad we were able to stop and see you today and finally meet you. So
it's been good. I'm glad I got to stop by.
Right on. All right, we're going to go up to the top, and Trevor said he's going to jump in and do some welding naked. So we're going to get the dive spread set up for
Oh my God.
So yeah, Trevor mentioned, right, he comes out to the events, and the events he's talking about, really, we do twice a year. We call it a meet and eat. It's really a big alumni and recruiting event where we invite, all of our current students, all of our alumni, industry connections we have, right? Our program advisory committee comes out. It's a big recruiting event. They come, can do interviews with our students and good networking opportunity. And it's also when we have our program advisory committee, right, meetings, so which where, the industry contacts that we have and that work out in the field give us feedback on our program and our curriculum, what updates they think we need, what changes they see coming down the pipe, how they see our students coming out, and how we can kind of adjust. So we really work closely to integrate the dive community into our curriculum so that we're giving our students the best education they could possibly get, right? But they need to go to work, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we're up top on our deck here. So these 3 tanks down here we use for underwater welding and cutting. We've got our cutting tank drained right now because, as you'll see, when we get up on deck, when we do some cutting, it generates a whole lot of sediment in the water and just constantly creating issues. So we got some confined space cutting projects in here. We got some pipeline cutting. We really want to drill home the fact that if you're cutting underwater, you got to vent. So, right, always cut the pipeline from the top first so you can vent that hydrogen buildup. You don't get some problems there. Some of our other scrap and equipment that we cut on. So we get everything from concrete, steel encased concrete, so they can see what a porous material behaves like when they're cutting it, to steel cable under tension, right? So we'll put about 100 pounds of tension on this rig right here on our steel cable, so students can practice cutting in a safe environment, something that's incredibly dangerous to do, right? And it's something that hopefully you never have to experience out in the real world, but if you do see it, you really got to know how to do it properly. And so that's kind of our whole ethos here. You learn, the foundations, the fundamentals, everything, things that you're going to do every single day, like rigging, like decompression, right? And then the rare events, right? So what do you do in an emergency situation? How do you respond, right? What do you do if you have, to cut steel cable under tension? What do you do if you, lose air supply? And we drill on those pretty much every single day from there on out.
Awesome.
Folding tables pick up, I guess, from the diving bell. Yeah, try not to trip on shit. So yeah, here we are at the top of our Type 1 bell. Like I said before, we don't pressurize it anymore. We're just going to run through some mock dive scenarios out of there so they can experience, what it'd be like. This is obviously an older model. They're a little bit bigger overall now, slightly different shape usually. But it's a good kind of primer on, what they might see if they ever get into saturation diving. Right? We just don't want them to walk into it blind.
Why don't you get on up in there, Fred X?
Take a look down inside.
Get in that bell. Get in that bell.
You don't have to get in. Just you can point the camera down if you want.
Nope.
So we got, our main air plumbing, right? So we can run multiple dive stations at any given time. So we got a plumb down here. We got a similar setup up on our top deck for plumbing there. That's all tied into 2 electrical compressors that have 2 volume tanks apiece. So if, we have a failure on either one, it's plumbed in that way. We're also going to be tied in for our manifolds with T-bottles on deck. And then obviously the divers are going to have their bailout bottle as well. So yeah, this tank is normally only used as a construction tank. It's got a riser assembly in there, some flanges and stuff, but because it had a window that was accessible, we used it to shoot that super slow-mo footage we were talking about with the burning. And as you can see, that burning has generated, quite a lot of dirt in the water. This is a 14-foot tank. It's a lot of water, and it's still incredibly dirty, which it's normally nice, crystal clear blue. So when they're doing the construction, after they do it with, vision, we actually will tape off their mask. They got to do it blindfolded, because this is a lot closer to a lot of your work environments than what you'd see. You mentioned a lot of your viewers are from overseas, and they're kind of interested in how the U.S. does it. Just for that point, right? The ADCI, the ACDE publish all of their standards, right? Are easily accessible, on the internet. The U.S. Navy dive manual is available through the U.S. Congress Library website as well for free. So if anyone's, looking to kind of understand what goes on, they can get access to some really good information there. This right here is our Type 2 dive bell. We built this one here on site so we could actually fit it in our diving tank here and practice using it. So again, we're going to use this as part of our emergency procedures. We're going to use this as part of our mixed gas dive training. How you would use a wet bell in practice. Okay. Yeah, so this tank right here is Super Project. That's the one we first walked up to, or I don't know how you're going to edit this together, but when we walked up and looked through the windows, you could see some components on there. This is, like I said, one section off a platform that we modified pretty heavily to do a bunch of different projects off of. And so this is really, the students get to this point a little over the halfway point, and they're responsible for planning the whole dive operation and running all the different positions, right? From dive master all the way down to tender and rigger, and they rotate out each position, so they got to be able to do it all. The last component for it's kind of over here. Yep. It'll flange up and attach right there. And that, guys, is honestly pretty much our whole campus. I guess we could point out one of our classrooms, talk about what that's like. It's a pretty standard setup. But yeah, everything that we need. Not a big campus, but everything you need to learn how to do it.
This
And
is
go to
awesome,
work.
man. Well, thanks a lot for taking us around, Clanton.
Absolutely,
It's been
man.
great.
It was a pleasure. I'm
right.
glad you guys could come out.
Thank you. This is LB Diver with the Bomb Driller Topside.